Now, in a previous Toyaholic video, I talked about the action figure display stand mail-away offer, and I said this was one of the first, if not the first, mail-away offer that Kenner did. Well, if I'd been thinking clearly, I would have remembered that the early bird set was itself a mail-away premium. But I wasn't aware of that one when it came out, so the action figure display stand was my first experience with sending them something and them sending me something back. And unfortunately, the day that it arrived, it was raining. So I walk out to the mailbox and I see this package has arrived and it's too big to fit inside the mailbox. So it's sticking out by a couple of inches. And sure enough, when I got it inside, I discovered, to my chagrin, that it had soaked completely through the cardboard mailer box. Now, the plastic base was okay, but the actual printed backdrop had water damage. So from the very first day I received my action display stand, it was damaged. For this, I waited 6 to 8 weeks for delivery. So, being a fairly enterprising young man, I got creative. I took 2 stickers, Star Wars themed stickers. One that came with the Top Series 3 bubblegum cards, and one that actually came out of a box of Frankenberry cereal. And I affixed them to the wet corners of the cardboard backdrop. I used one premium to fix another premium. So here that backdrop is with the stickers applied. And as you can see, they had to be taped back on. Their corners kept pulling up. But yeah, that's the way mine has looked ever since 1978, maybe 1979. We'll say 78. I was 8 years old. Now the back of it is also interesting because you can see that there were other things taped to the back of this at some point. I vaguely remember them being little cards or stickers, or probably Topps bubblegum cards, although the tape marks look a little large. But I honestly don't remember what they were. So, and it's these, you can see, like that's a rectangular outline of something where tape was put across a corner, across a corner, across a corner, across a corner. Yeah. Now then this is interesting down here in this corner. It says in pencil, lift. And then there's an arrow going up there. So I must have had a hinged one right there. I only taped it on one side so that you could maybe lift a card and see what underneath it. There's no residue like there was a sticker there, so I don't know. Something got ripped off right there, ripped off there, big chunk ripped out here. So yeah, this is my remaining card from 78. But hey, I only spent $2 on it, right? So here is where I found this recently. I was actually looking for the Cantina backdrop for the video that I was doing about the Creature Cantina. And this was in an underbed storage box. It was not under a bed. It was on a shelf. And it was blocked from view by, I don't know, probably a dozen different Star Wars Mr. Potato Heads. So Darth Tater and Princess Sputta and whatever all the puns were. But yeah, their boxes were blocking this from view, so I had not really realized that there was vintage items back behind those. This is broken here on the clasp, and one of the hinges back here is also broken. Maybe 2 of them are broken. But also in here was this scan that I had done of the centerfold of an issue of Tomart's Action Figure Digest, and it shows Stephen Hodges, Kenner employee Stephen Hodges' original design for the action display stand, which was, as the caption says, rejected by Kenner. Found this the other day. This was not in this box, but I tucked it in here. At some point I found this on a website and made a printout of it, but that's the directions for the Star Wars Collector's Action Stand. It's fairly straightforward. And then we'll have a couple of other things in here to look at. Let's grab the base out. talk about it for a second. I'll set this over here. Now, as I said, the base was not damaged by the water, and the sticker appears to have been okay, but seeing the sticker on the sticker sheet, I thought, I don't want to put my 12 figures in those positions. I want to put them in my own positions. I wanted to customize. Even at this young age, I wanted to customize mine. And so I grabbed for the Princess Leia sticker and kind of messed it up with my fingernail because I didn't realize this was one big sticker. So that's, I messed that up in 78. And you can kind of see, I'm not sure if the reflection will allow it, but that's actually got some Scotch tape over it right there. And then there's a big wrinkle here on the Ben Kenobi, Death Squad Commander and everything. But that's the play base. And as you can see, it's got these 12 gears underneath so that when you move the lever, you can make 4 figures kind of move at a time. They just sort of dance back and forth. My sister, Amber, said one time that I was going to be attacked by my Star Wars figures, that in the middle of the night they were all going to come to life and it's just going to be like do 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 do. I still remember her threatening me with that at our grandmother's house in Mississippi many years ago, and it's a much more horrifying fate now that I have quite so many more. And I remember like popping these out or assembling these, or I don't remember if they needed to be assembled when it arrived, but I remember there being this like wax lubricant inside those gears. Probably I did that. Probably you were not meant to put those into place. Helpful hint: if for any reason any of the turntables should pop off, it is easy to reassemble. Simply put the turntable back into place, then pop the plastic gear back on under the toy. So yeah, that's what that says. So that's why I must have said, hey, I want to see what this is like. And it's got that almost like Vaseline in there as a lubricant. So apparently at some point I decided I wanted to improve this item, and I struck a deal, a 3-way deal with 2 other pen pals of mine. One was Steve Radler in New Jersey, and the other was David West Reynolds in Michigan. And you might recognize the name David West Reynolds. Steve Radler actually has a connection to Star Wars as well. He was a model for a series of Topps cards by the Hildebrandt brothers of Shadows of the Empire. So anyway, one of us had one backdrop that the other 2 didn't in each case. In each corner of the triangle, one of us had a piece of the puzzle, and so we made 2 copies and mailed one here and one here. And this one made 2 copies and mailed one here and one here. So we did a 3-way trade to try to get all the backdrops that we needed. So this appears to be a piece of the one that I want to say Steve sent. It might have been David. But anyway, you can actually tell that on the photocopy, you can see that there was Scotch tape on his original one. So that's how good of a photocopy is, that it picked up Scotch tape. And if you kind of tilt this just right, you can make it out. I don't know if the camera can perceive it, but with the naked eye, I can. So there's obviously, it wasn't big enough to get the whole image back in the day. This is in the 90s that we were trying to do this. So he actually photocopied it from a couple of different angles for me. And I believe the rest of them are in a poster tube in the bedroom. So, but for now, this will do. What I then did was recopy the copies. What I should have done was get a big piece of cardboard and spray mount these originals onto it. And I might still do that if it proves necessary. But what I did do at the time was recopy his copies and affix them. I think I printed them onto label paper, which kind of shows why they're so matte. But you can see a little edge of label paper on this one where maybe I might have done that one first and then there was some left over on the cardboard of this one. So you can see just a little edge of it. But not only were the printouts not big enough, the cardboard wasn't big enough. So I had to patch the cardboard there, and I had to patch the printouts, the copies of copies, in kind of an inventive way. You can see just a little bit of a vertical seam there, but I hid the seam. So the seam goes here. I'm feeling it with my finger more than I'm seeing it in person. Then it comes up then around the nose of the X-Wing, and then again follows this vertical line right here, and then comes up the laser cannon and back out. So yeah, very, very tricky the way I lined up the two printouts to sort of hide the seam on these. Now, this is what mine looked like back in the day. You can see why that piece of that sticker kept getting folded up. You know, it's obvious that they wouldn't have graphically designed it to say Star Wars and Star Wars right there. Nobody would put a double message. And although Ben is focusing in towards center, which is a good placement, then you've got Luke and Leia's eye lines are actually going off of the space here, which isn't really optimal. Now, you might say, but what does it look like with figures in it? You might not even notice those stickers. Okay, well, let's put some vintage figures in there. All 12 of these are original vintage Star Wars figures. None of them are retros. Got the Jawa, got the Stormtrooper, got the Death Squad Commander. Only about 5 or 6 of these have been made as retros by Hasbro. You got 3PO there. That's my nice shiny one. But very few of these are my originals. Most of them are replacements that I got over the years. So they would have better paint or what have you, except for Vader. This is my original, number 1, 1978. The first 5 figures I bought, Darth Vader, and the reason I know that is his foot was not fully formed in the mold at Kenner. This foot is flat, but this one has a hollow space there, right in front of the peg, and it's slightly clubbed. Now I've replaced his cape over the years, I've touched up his paint. He's actually got a repro double telescoping saber at the moment, as do Ben and Luke. But this is my original figure from the first 5 that I bought when I was 8 years old. So put Vader in place there. Tusken Raider comes next. He's got an original cape, although it might have been a replacement. There was a period where you could buy replacement capes from Kenner for like $1. I think I replaced all my Tuskens at that time. So, all right, and then Han Solo. This is a small head Han. Not my original small head Han. My original small head Han was eaten by my sister's dog Max. And then this Chewbacca is not my original because he actually has a painted black nose, and my very first Chewbacca had a brown nose. His nose had not been painted at the factory. And I have possibly that original one still. Princess Leia, she needs to be clean. Her cape's looking a little bit dirty there. But as I say, none of these are retros by Hasbro. These are all authentic, original Star Wars figures from the day, if not my very first ones. Now, Kenner forced you to put them in this lineup right here, and I was never really happy with that because, you know, I wanted 3PO next to R2. I wanted Luke next to Leia. I wanted these two guys to flank Vader. I wanted the Sand Person to be next to the Jawa. About the only thing they did right was putting Han and Chewie next to each other. But as you can see, you've got the little lever here that makes everybody move. This one's a little stiff. And you're probably saying, well, you know, you can barely see those stickers back there once the figures are in. Yeah, that was one reason I wasn't too concerned about it for a long time. But if you take this one out and you put in one of these reproductions that I did, you can see, yeah, there would have been more of the Death Star visible, a little bit more of the TIE Fighter visible there. By the way, there's what an original one looks like. Here's that reproduction that I made, a copy of a copy. Here's the copy it was made from, which is a little bit better, a partial copy, which is a little bit better in quality than the copy of a copy. But you want to see what's really bad? I spent $20 on this. It's a repro that I bought off eBay. And it's not good. Look at the bleed on the stars into the surrounding black of space. Compare that to this original. I think you can see that was not money well spent. So be very careful about buying reproductions. I think I'm going to try to find the other piece of this and spray mount it now that I have a little more experience with spray mounting. If I can find that piece of brown cardboard that I saw the other day that should be big enough to do it all in one fell swoop without having to do a little patch like I did on this one. By the way, the replica box that I made for the recreation portion of this video, I just found a picture of what one looked like online and then just cut up a box I had laying around. But I actually did do it around a real display base. Now this is a total beater, and I hope I didn't spend more than $1 or $2 for this because it's completely trashed. As you can see, it's missing one of the stands and the corresponding cog. It's got some melted marks here, missing pegs on that one. The sticker's gone, and it's got places where there was magic marker permanently done on it. But hey, I finally got a use out of it. I used it in this video. And the funny thing was, until I built a box just big enough to hold one of these and went outside to film it in the mailbox, I didn't realize that the mailman couldn't have closed the door on it. I always thought, oh, our mailbox leaked. No, it got rained on because it was too big to fit in a mailbox. So, hey, making these videos for you guys, I'm actually discovering little things about the past that I didn't realize. Although, hey, mightn't it be interesting to customize this with that backdrop in it? See how it's kind of slipping side to side there because it's not quite wide enough. Although, theoretically, you could scan it one more time and enlarge it slightly so that it does fit left to right. It would be taller then too, but might be a project for another day. Maybe even get some more use out of that. All right. In a future video, remind me to tell you about the time years later when another display stand of mine arrived damaged in the mail. Just keeps happening to me. One thing before I go. I'm experimenting with this new ring light that I got as a Father's Day present. Zach walked by the other day, and with the camera in the center of the ring light, he said that it looks like Otto from WALL-E. He's right. Thanks for watching. But as kids in 1980, 4/5 of my life ago, we didn't think about anything like that. Our imaginations were fertile and imaginative. Our imaginations were imaginative, really? Did I just say that? Well, they were back then, they're not so much now. But as a kid in 1980, which is like 4/5 of my life ago, we didn't care about any of that. Oh, hello, there's been a wreck over here. All right, people, start moving or there'll be another wreck behind me. All right, fire truck, police, wrecker, fire truck, police, ambulance, and I guess we're good to go. Woo! Yeah, just pull on out in front of me, dude. That's great. But as a kid in 1980, 10 years old, none of that stuff mattered. That's 4/5 of my life ago. You see, in the 70s, our minds were fertile. We would come up with our own adventures with our toys. It didn't matter that there was one single 2-hour movie to draw from, well, and the holiday special. That didn't matter. It was enough to stoke the fires of creativity. You would look at these figures and you'd go, okay, he's this name and this profession. He is a bounty hunter. And it's raining. Wipers, and that's going to be noise every time they go. Switching gears. I'm not going to go out to Donegan Slough after all. Put that on, put that on, put that on. previous video, I talked about the action figure display stand. Now, in a previous Toyaholic video, I talked about the action figure display stand mail-away offer, and I said it was one of, if not the very first, mail-away premium that they did. Actually, it wasn't the first, if I'd been thinking straight. It's too dark. So backlit. Let's close that now. That may or may not help. In a previous Toyaholic video, I mentioned the Star Wars action figure display stand. And I said it was one of, if not the very first, mail-away premium offer that they had done. Well, if I'd been thinking clearly, I would have remembered that the early bird set was itself a mail-away premium. But I wasn't aware of that at the time, so the action figure display stand... The hell? Did you hear a train? Because I heard a train. But I wasn't aware of that one when it came out, so the action figure display stand was my first experience with sending them something and them sending me something back. And unfortunately, the day that it arrived, it was raining.